do. Well, hi there, everyone. If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, it's the Hour of Empower live stream. Word of the day is unstoppable as a benefit from Lisa, who suggested it. And I believe Lisa's the epitome of viv and vigor and unstoppability. So, with that as a beginning, chat's open. We depend on your uh, insights or direction so we can be more relevant and hopefully create some wonderful takeaways that you can actually use and get benefit for your time, thought, and effort. With that said, I'll turn it over to Lisa. Such a pleasure and honor to have her again, and she can catch you up to date and her initial thoughts on Unstoppable.
Thank you, Don. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Let's do this thing. Unstoppable is what I had to be during the pandemic. 2020 hit. It wasn't the first time that I've fallen down, got back up. I've fallen down off of a bicycle, gone over the handlebars, landed in the dirt, dusted myself up, got back up again. So that was my inspiration to start my podcast, Whole CEO with Lisa G, and every expert, over 270 people I interviewed on 3 tips on being unstoppable. So to me, it's not what happens to you. We all fall down. I've just developed systems to help you get back up again. And it doesn't matter where you are, you're not alone. I've fallen down off bicycles, off skis, and it's a metaphor for you just have to get back up again and decide what is the silver lining right now? Why is this happening? And turn it around, because even though it was hard in 2020, it was it was a silver lining. Things had to change or else they stayed the same. And to be high performance leader, you have to be able to pivot. So I hope you guys are inspired, on fire with us to talk about how things happen, and to have the agency to lift yourself back up, be unstoppable, never give up, because winners never quit.
Quitters never win.
Exactly. Thanks for finishing that thought.
My pleasure. So, with that said, and moving from that, and I think it was a much um, oh important, much important. I don't know how you put those two together. Uh, Much important message for empowerment, for inspiration, motivation. I mean, all of these things are intangibles, but unstoppability is an intangible too, right? Because
Right.
what it says in essence is you won't be denied. You know,
Yeah.
it might take
Yeah.
longer, might take a lot of effort, and usually or sometimes it's not even worth it, but you don't know that until you finish, right? So
Right.
sometimes you got to learn by doing, and there is a silver lining to everything because everybody's alive if they're thinking, right?
Yeah.
Right there is a good beginning. So with that said, Kelly's here. Thank you for being the person to lead off the comments. There's usually a lag, and can't thank Kelly enough for all she does and for being here for us. So thank you, Kelly. Tanya's here from South Africa. I don't know what time it is out there, but I know it's probably later than it is here. Thank you, Tanya. Tanya's into building sales funnels, and that's her specialty. And I think that's the value of unstoppability is align with other unstoppables. Go with people who don't give up, who always see good even when most people can't. And why not? Why not add a little bit more good, even if it may not always be there, but it may be enough to satisfy your appetite for the day. And I think that keeps you into the next day. So, how do you apply this unstoppability to your practice, Lisa?
Well, My boss system is all about boosting your emotional intelligence because it's how you view things. It's a vantage point that you view the world. So instead of spinning it into problem, you got to get to solution focus. So having good communication skills is step one. So a bomb went off in the office. Someone throws a brick at you. Pandemic happens. You got to catch it and think first strategically before you react. And because we've all been set back 10, 20, 30 years in EQ with the pandemic, I like to start with that and then go to optimizing your energy because everything is energy. Like something happens, you have to run with it. You have to be like, I'm going to bring the energy. And I have a huge background in health and wellness. So to me, boosting the energy is something I do every day somehow, even if I don't feel like it. And didn't feel like it yesterday, but I'm committed. So it's discipline, it's optimizing your performance, it's mastering your EQ, and mastering your self leadership. So getting back to fitness, like that's just an unbreakable for me in my leadership. It's like how I lead myself is a decision. You got to decide, who do you want to lead? How do you want to lead? And you got to lead yourself first.
Okay. I think that's important. Everything starts with you and could end with you also, depending on how involved you are and who you're involved with. And that's everything is a degree. It's not an absolute. And every day is a new day, and things adjust based on a new day, whether you choose it or not. And
Right,
so that's how do you keep up? And if you're fortunate, how do you stay ahead? Right?
right.
Hopefully not chasing, because then you're always kind of at a disadvantage, or you're trying to cover yesterday moving into tomorrow. And I think everything to be successful has to have an element of comfort and enjoyment and
Yeah,
fun, right? And if you can infuse those three things into what you do, it'll make it easier to do because you'll enjoy it and something you look forward to doing.
yeah,
And, right? So, Lisa, well, let me recognize Dennis, who's our resident rhymer. The silver lining is us older folks is when we still happy to have an appetite to learn. And, I think showing up is 90% of being unstoppable, right? Because
absolutely.
you're there, Lisa.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's about setting an intention every single day. What am I grateful for? I'll pick 3 things I'm grateful for every day. What do I want to accomplish? I'll pick 3 things like overall urgent goals. And being unstoppable is just being intentional, having agency, deciding this is who I am, knock down 9 times, get back up 10, and I'm going to be unstoppable. And who do I want to help? Like, if you just want to help one person, I show up and do these videos because I feel like even if one person is listening and it lands with them, I want to lead during the times where I'm stopped so that I can be unstoppable. I get stuck and I help people go from stuck to unstoppable, but it all starts with me. How do I want to lead myself first and having an intention?
Well, I think that's very important, especially if one wants to stay authentic. And being authentic is being real, being in the moment, and being honest. And everybody who's with those type of people depend on communication from them and with them in order to stay up to scratch and also to relate, because context is so important. Words can hide all kinds of different meanings and values, but conversation usually flushes those out and
Yeah,
gets rid of doubt or curiosity. And it's like, or actually has the ability to ratchet up and complement whatever it was that someone launched first and someone added something along the way. And I think that's why it gets better. And then you get better for it getting better because you created the new it, right?
yeah.
So Lisa, so what, it's easier for people who have already embraced and adopted this philosophy or strategy. But for
Right.
someone who's new, and this is somewhat different at least, how does one acclimate to it?
Well, I'd love to give you guys like some solid tips. So, just to talk about the first part of boosting your emotional intelligence, and how I would say over half the leaders are struggling with communication right now because we're in disruptive times. So it's like get knocked down. How you lead through disruption is my favorite topic. And basically, one tip I would leave you with right now is communication style of active listening. So you ask me a question and I throw it back to you just to make sure that you feel heard. And that'll help with buy-in from your team. They're going to feel heard. So you're telling me this, is that right? And then they have to respond. So let's say someone throws that proverbial brick at you and you're like, so you're saying that a bomb just went off. Is that right? Am I hearing you correctly? And they'll say yes. I'm like, well, is there more? And they'll be like, well, yeah, the whole building's gonna come down. I'm like, well, let's just get out of here. That's a horribly extreme example, but active listening, you repeat back what was said, then the other person feels heard, and then you ask if there's more. And if this is applying to your family, this is applying to your business, people want to feel heard. So I'd say listening, active listening.
Okay. I think that's a very important aspect. And, it also allows you to make sure that you're sure, because
Yeah,
sometimes you might not have picked up the right word or might have not picked up the right meaning. And I guess you can even add a question to a question beyond is this what you said? And then add, what did you intend, or what did you mean, or what would you hoping I would take away from this,
yeah,
right? Is you create a dialogue now. And
clarity. Yeah, you get create clarity in your messaging. Have you ever had the conversation with someone via text and it just goes sideways because people are not seeing your face, your body language, and they're misinterpreting things?
oh, every day, and that's why I hate using text beyond yes, no, talk to you later, because everything you say doesn't carry the emotion, doesn't carry the seriousness or lack of it. It doesn't help if you have dry humor. And it actually can make people question more than receive answers. So I'm always like, hey, let's talk about it later, or whatever the case. And I know there's people who text paragraphs, and explain everything. And you can explain it, because the more you type, the more questions you're going to have about everything that you're adding to what you added. So, anyways, I think there's a time efficiency, but more importantly, a clarity efficiency. Is I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want to be misrepresented. And sometimes you're just in a hurry. Boom, boom, bang, done. Well, Dennis comes back and says, and thanks for bringing and starting a new day every day. And it's actually a new week on top of it. It is something we are grateful for. One person listens with two ears. Exactly. It could be a sheaf. Uh, Good morning. Such a great word to start out the week. And if it is a sheaf, he's a wonderful gentleman up in Toronto doing some fabulous things. So a great person to know. And I would use this forum to network, to make connections, to find aligned interest in people, and create more value for yourself. This is a marketplace. Get all you can, whatever you need, when you can. With that, it really is a fascinating, unstoppable subject, because of the unlimited potential in most cases that's available if people get out of their own way and allow change to take place. Because if it's not working now, fast forward, what's going to change it? And how long do you got to wait until you decide it isn't going to change unless I change? And at that point, you duplicate that through your organization, because you can't say things and not do the things you want other people to do what you say. So, Elisa, how do you win over the hearts and minds of these organizations when you enter a building and, first of all, you're an outsider, which is a positive and maybe a challenge, but make them more receptive and accessible to what you have to share?
Well, we talked about boosting our EQ. Then you talk about, so we all decided that for clarity, we're going to repeat back what was said to make sure there wasn't a misunderstanding. That gives you the time to process your thoughts so you can respond with ability, which is responsibility communication. It's active listening. And then is there more? So we've talked about EQ. Moving on, I'd say you have to optimize your energy. Everything is energy. So the O is optimize your energy. For my boss system, it's intentionality. How do you want to show up? You got to bring the energy. You got to decide. You're going to bring the energy, and all decisions are going to be made within the first 3 to 5 seconds of meeting you. So do you want to show up like bad body language? Like, oh, you wouldn't want to hire me, would you? Or like, hey, it's so nice to meet you. It's a big difference. So you get that intention before you walk into a room to be an influencer. Influence for good. It's such an overused word, but influence is everything and energy is everything. So I think just decide. Reverse engineer, like all goals have to be reverse engineered. Let's say whatever goal you have to start with one step. If you want to influence, you got to bring the energy. That's your step one.
Okay, I think that's true. So that's two winners. We've got mindful listening, and we've got um, the ability to raise our energy level. And really, it's kind of interesting because I had a pretty significant retail chain, at one point, and I
Yeah.
started it with me, my wife, and my dog, and a car loan. And what was interesting is irate customers who were getting loud, if I was to get quieter, they would get quieter,
Right.
right? And if I would get louder, then they would just accelerate. So you have control over the energy in the room. And how do you want that to duplicate through others? Because that's part of leadership, is leading, and
Yeah.
leading by example and leading by whatever. And it duplicates, and because of that, your customer or your client or your whatever you want to call that individual uh, enjoys the energy better. When people are happier, people feel happy, even they don't know what made everybody else happy, right? Because they feel
Right.
safe, they feel comfortable. They say it doesn't happen often. And actually, a competitive advantage is being happier, brighter, bouncier as much as you can and still stay authentic,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be annoyingly, I mean, I'm sure I can be annoyingly too much for some people, but that's authentic to who I am. I'm bringing the energy, and I'd love to give you guys some tips on how you can optimize your energy, because now you know how you can optimize your EQ going into how do you want to show up? How do you want to lead? How do you want to influence? High performers have high energy. It's just how we are. If you want to be a high performer, getting back to last week's word, I'll give you a few tips. You want to eat to nourish, not just fill up. So you want to use food for fuel as your fuel for peak performance, and move your body every day. Getting back to my foundational things that self leadership, what I do, you just got to just boost your brain by moving your body every day, get that whole energy going. Doesn't have to be more than 20 minutes. Like I can commit to doing 20 minutes of yoga 90% of most days. Sometimes things are scheduled during that time, but I do it really early. So move your body every day throughout the day. Just make sure you get at least 20, 30 minutes of movement, and that relieves stress and it boosts your focus. So optimize your energy with exercise and take time, downtime. Like I unplug on the weekends as much as I can, and that gives me more energy for Monday. So optimizing your energy allows you to thrive under pressure instead of just surviving. You got this.
Yeah, and I believe that we're also talking long term versus short term, and having the journey kind of defined as as a journey that's going to take quite a while. So why not enjoy the ride, as opposed to when are we going to get there, when are we going to get there? And the other aspect is everybody needs to get better to get better. So no one's done when they start. Everything's at the beginning. And, one can look back and say, well, where was I when I began this journey? And where am I now? And what did I give? And what did I trade up for? And I think that's really the key. If we're talking unstoppable, we're talking about how do you optimize? How do
Yeah.
you pull value and benefit? I mean, why leave anything on the table? If you can give it your all and know that tomorrow you get a recharge, so you never have too much to give. You just don't have enough intent and discipline at times. But let's go to comments because they're blowing up. Mirjana's here from Serbia. Thank you so much, Mirjana. Dennis, agree. It is sure to try to be sure every day in text does document what we think and what type you are and trying to be. And, I like talking to people, and I know that's rare. And I hardly make any phone calls. I mean, most of them Zoom calls, because not only do I like talking to people, I like looking at people and seeing what they're looking like when I'm talking with them also, because it gives you a clue. It says, well, maybe that didn't hit the mark. And some people, it's like a poker face. Some people just show their whatever on their sleeve. I agree, show up, not off, and stay on subject one step at a time. That's so true. Where's the fire? You see so many people rushing somewhere and they have nowhere else to go after that. And it's like, hey, if that's the only thing we're going to go is Costco today, matter if we leave in 10 minutes or 30 minutes. And it doesn't, because, by having perspective, you decide, hey, I'm just in a mode of hurry, not in a necessity of it. And
Yeah.
some people with so much sense of urgency, they don't have lack of it. So there is balance to it. Kelly, unstoppable is not a status. It's a mindset fueled by determination and resilience and supported by confidence, thoughts. Absolutely. And it's a daily, I mean, just like Lisa mentioned, listing gratitude as a good foundation to begin a day and to end a day. It's also that determination that you deserve what you're going after, and you're more than qualified in achieving it. The only question is how long and what do you got to go through to do it? And that applies to everything. But here's the key. Unstoppable should get married to passion.
Yes.
Right? Because
absolutely.
it's the passion, the desire, the vision of when you get it or when you get there that drives you through the everyday trials and tribulations and all that stuff. And the other thing is you got to have a balance between not by really getting into the zone.
Yes.
Not hearing all of the stuff around you and everything else. At the same time, you got to get into a collaborated group where you can share, here's what I'm doing, with like-minded people who are doing the same thing, because now you get the knowledge share. Now you get to, I know where you are, I've been there, here's what happens, no big deal, and then you go on, right? It's only when you think it's going to be too heavy because it's already starting to get heavier, and you're thinking of heavier instead of, hey, this is temporary, it'll get lighter. But again, the game is between you and yourself. You make the rules, you piece out the punishment, you give out the rewards. So yes, so true. Beverly's here. Beverly's Tuesday. Every Tuesday is Beverly. Good morning, down. Nice to meet you, Lisa. Yeah, and I think you two would be a great pairing also. So thank you, Beverly. Come in tomorrow and see Beverly and me. Dennis, agree. Exercise with yoga as you go. You got so many ways of talking, Dennis. Zoom is almost as great as being in the room. So true. Beverly comes back with, when you have focus and determination, you can be unstoppable. But you also need those boundaries. You need to take a break to recharge and start again. Yeah, it's you got to call timeout. You got to know when, your speedometer is moving too fast. And the other thing is, there's always tomorrow. If everything has to be done right now or you're already behind, you're in a bad game. And at a certain point, you're either going to wear out or burn out or give out. And you don't want any of those threes to be unstoppable. And it's momentum, it's activity. I mean, that's what unstoppable is. You're not stopping, right? You just keep going.
Absolutely.
So, Lisa.
Okay. Well, we already talked about leading with EQ, and I love Kelly's comment about mindset, because that's like going right from energy. The next step is mindset in my program. So it's so great to have such wonderful people here. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. With the right mindset, you can achieve the impossible. Your limits live within your beliefs. Let me say that again. Your limits live within your beliefs. So you can expand what's possible for you and your team with mindset. So now that we've fueled up the energy, decide how you want to show up. Next comes the mindset, how you perceive challenges. So it's all about, I fell off the bike, I got back up. We've all fallen off the proverbial bike here in the last 3.5 years. It's just, you have to decide, what are you going to do with it? Okay, so what? Now what? So it's how you perceive the challenges. Nelson Mandela faced intense struggles with resilience by reframing perspective. So it's about perspective in these disruptive times to be a high performer. He turned prison into fuel for justice. And we've all burnt out. I've burnt out. When the pandemic first started, my phone and computer followed me around everywhere. And before the pandemic, I used to live in Los Angeles, and it was crazy traffic, and I was always stressed about being on time. So stress is inevitable as a leader, but drowning in it is a choice. Like Mandela, the greatest leaders convert obstacles into opportunities. So the next step of being unstoppable is how you reframe stuff. This happened, so what? Now what? And that's what people remember you for. It's like they go high, they go low, you go high. It's like somebody does something and they criticize you, you can be like, yeah, that's probably true. I like it that way. That's who I am. So, I mean, I've wanted to quit before, but winners never quit and quitters never win. Challenges will come, but it's your response that matters most. See setbacks as growth catalysts and stay positive, focus forward, turn problems into progress.
So well said. And to add to that, what I realize is there are no outcomes. There's only continuums, right? Nothing stops at a certain day of your choosing or starts or happens. I mean, it might be a good projection and it may end up turning out to be true. And maybe because you do identify a date, you may hit that date. But the thing is what happens if it doesn't? You do it again the next day.
Right.
And the saying is, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how fast you get up.
Right.
It's the speed of recovery. And the big players are always playing on the edge. They're the ones who are daring danger, right? The people who do extreme sports and everything else is they're going for records, they're going for things that no one ever did. And that and alone, whether it's the activity or not, is what drives them to be the first, to be the best, and the best is getting back up. Every time you see a football game and someone gets down, you're just praying they get back up, right? That they can walk and do everything else. And I think the recovery is where the reward is. Because, I was reading this book and it said like weightlifting, someone didn't even count until they felt pain how many lifts they had. Because at that point, they knew they were going to challenge and stretch themselves.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali, I think, used to say that about abs.
Yeah, no, he actually did. He said that he didn't count, I think, sit-ups or push-ups until he felt pain. And then he knew he was going to get stronger because of it. But let's not forget our wonderful audience. Leslie's here, who was here yesterday with me. When we die is when we're stoppable for sure. Leslie's definitely an example of someone that keeps going and keeps striving and takes as many people with her as she can. Comes back with, well, this must be a sheaf, I'm hoping. So true perspective and approach determine opportunities available. Another Leslie, results match our beliefs. So true. Beverly is on a roll today. Yes, 100%, Lisa. It's all mindset. Challenges are everywhere. You have to go with the flow, keep swimming. Just like I mentioned, that Alison Krauss song that I referred to, and it's called Lucky Man. And what she says is the next thing to playing and winning is playing and losing, right? It's the playing. It's just having the opportunity to be on the field, to be on the dance floor. No, it doesn't matter how well you do. You got there, and you're just as equal as everybody else while the music's playing. Love that one, Leslie. Keep moving your feet. You can get to the top of the mountain taking baby steps as long as you keep moving your feet. Paraphrase from Mary Morrissey. Leslie is such a great supporter. Or as Les Brown says, if you find yourself in hell, keep moving your feet. So true. Tanya's in the game. The narratives and the stories we tell ourselves determine how we move forward. Sometimes we forget we've survived our worst days. I always say that. I've been through worse. If I can handle that, I can handle this. Right? And I give myself some grace and some time. And it's like you just heard about it. Give yourself a night's sleep. It'll still be there, but you'll be a little fresher and meet it on your terms, right?
Right.
Results or death. Thank you, Leslie. What want new results? Create a new belief. Leslie does Think and Grow Rich every Friday, and she does her audio event on Mondays, which is Mind Over Matter. Want to know how? Ask me. Sounds like you're selling whatever that pounds now. Ask me how. Dennis comes back with agree, get back. No pain is usually less gain. Linda, who I always admire and always bring out as far as someone who's been a great supporter. We only get these exact moments once. So what you have done with them, will it impact your day or anyone else? Make it worth the effort and know you did well. And all you got to do is a little bit more every day. And over time, you'd be just amazed on what your progress is because it compounds. Kelly comes back with, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be singing the song I'm Unstoppable all day today. Well, you deserve to, Kelly, because you are unstoppable. Dennis says, agree, move your feet by simply putting the best foot forward, helping others. And then Leslie, self-promotion for sure, might as well. With that said, we got a great influx of comments and support here. So it's great to play to a friendly audience. And what's your thoughts now, Lisa?
Well, I just agree, that your community is great. It's so fun to be in a crowd of like-minded people. We all agree that we've all done hard things because hard things are required to be a high performer in disruptive times. And all these wonderful quotes with Les Brown, and there's a Martin Luther King quote too about you don't have to see the whole staircase, take one step at a time. So if you want to just try to get 1% better every day, let's say you fell down in EQ, we all have. You fell down and reacted to something. It's like, how do I want to show up today? How do I want to lead today? What is one thing that I can do to show up and take one step at a time? And James Clear of Atomic Habits even says, like, if you're 1% better every day, you're 37% better over the year. So pick that one thing. What is one thing that you can do to be unstoppable? And then we could all bring it back to my, so we're going to reframe struggles as a chance to get stronger, replace negative thoughts with empowering ones, use the support systems to navigate adversity. And with the right mindset, you can achieve the impossible. And we'll get back to the thought of that your limits live within your beliefs, expand what's possible. And lastly, of my boss system is self-leadership. So you can sustain success through self-leadership. You can avoid burnout by leading yourself first with boundaries around work and life. And Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see. When you manage your energy, emotions, and mindset effectively, it uplifts your team, uplifts your family, it uplifts whatever you're leading. If you're leading yourself first, you're showing up, you're deciding how you want to influence. So here's 3 self-leadership tips. Number 1, set boundaries for work and life integration. Your health comes first. Number 2, delegate, empower others in their strengths. And number 3, focus on your unique abilities. Don't get bogged down in minutia. Great leaders know leading yourself is key to leading others. It allows you to thrive with resilience, not just survive. You are the thermostat in the room with the power to shape your environment, turn challenges into growth, and stay energized and go lead like a champion.
Wow, that's pretty cool. We could almost end on that, but we definitely won't because we got so many wonderful people here. And with that, I got to introduce Harvey, who's just an amazing gentleman and good friend. Hello, everyone. Really, Sarm Lake, great to be here and nice to meet you, Lisa. Want to put a plug in for Harvey. Harvey does the franchise show every Tuesday right after this show. And Kelle does her awesome journey live stream right after Harvey. So the 3 of us are triple deckers. And actually this week, Harvey and Kelle and me are on this Thursday. And it's been really exciting. Harvey, I think, has been on the show for 5 months and started his show and is really booked out there and doing great. So, I just love seeing people fly high, be able to get their voice amplified in the best possible way with the most relevant audience. And, what you see is distilled over 500 shows. And this is the cream of the crop as far as supporters, like you say, like-minded people. And, it's worth doing when the people you care about most show up every day. I mean, how many times have you cooked a fabulous meal and it only mattered how much the people who ate it enjoyed it, right?
Right.
Their enjoyment and their pleasure was worth every bit of the effort. And that's why people show up for themselves, but also show up for others because, there's a saying, when you're down, you need the meetings. When you're up, the meetings need you, right? So between the two of them, yeah, and that's how life should be, is you can lean back, feel safe that there's someone who's going to support you, someone who's going to catch you, someone who will love you no matter what, and tell you how much you mean to so many people that you don't always take into consideration, and how valuable you are, because it is so easy to get disappointed and frustrated and upset because if you're high performance, if you're goal oriented, you feel something when you don't get there. But you also know, hey, there's another way. Or if I don't know, someone else does, and I can find that person. And if not, hey, it's just going to take longer, but so what? If you're having a good time, again, where's the fire? Linda comes back with, wow, great words, Lisa, for all to think about. Glad was able to be a part today. Leslie says, we're smart. Absolutely. And you know what? We get smarter together. It's not like you're smart and you just hang out and you get smarter. You contribute, you get feedback, you get, it's like, to me, like a polishing wheel where you lean into it and your best material comes back a little bit better polished than it would have been if you didn't put it out there. It's like an improv circuit. And that's what this is spontaneous, responsive, reactive, and it takes the pressure off of preparation, takes the pressure off of whatever happens, because first of all, it's live. Second of all, no one could have anticipated. And it shows we're human like everybody else. I think too many people get on stage and they got to posture themselves as if they're any more an authority than anybody in the audience, maybe less. And I think that's where humility and being humble makes so much sense, right? Don't put a high bar for everybody to think you're the guru or the genius, right? And you then lend itself to say, I need your help to help you. You need to help me help you by sharing a little bit more or giving me some clues. Dennis comes back with, sounds good, 1% better a day than just in over 3 months. You're 100% better. Way to go in the no and not just the no. And it's little things. That's so true, Dennis. I didn't think of it that way. Or yeah, that's true, and I can do that. Too many people tried eating that one bite. Lisa, you got so much support here. Everybody seems to be affirming what you have to say. What do you see about live streaming that makes a difference in getting your message out?
Well, I think being seen and being visible is important. Public speaking was always like the scariest thing in the world for me. So I did it. I have to do the hard things. I was petrified. I joined Toastmasters. I took countless classes. I'm still taking classes on public speaking because sometimes you just have to walk through the fire of the hard things and be gritty and resilient. So it's it it's helpful just to decide, who do I want to help with my message, rather than how do I look, how's my lighting, how's my sound. It's more like, who can I help today with this just one message? So I show up, I'd say mostly once a week on live stream. And I think it's about community, like you said. It's about being seen, it's about community, because the pandemic was hard for all of us. And I really missed the connection. So I started doing a Zoom meeting with my family once a week, and we've kept that going. So I've missed my family. I miss connecting. And the silver lining of the pandemic is Zoom. I mean, who would have thought this technology, you'd be able to do a conference in London in 30 minutes instead of getting on a plane, driving over there. It's just created connection, and connection is so important. It's about, how do you want to show up? Who do you want to help? How do you want to lead? And it all gets back to the self-leadership too. I bring that back around. So if any of you guys feel like your energy and EQ could be boosted, it all starts. You got to start. Just pick one thing. And like I said, my first love, that I'm passionate about with my vision, always comes back to exercise. So whatever your one thing is, if it's EQ, if it's optimizing your energy, whatever your thing is, you got to fix your mindset, got to lead yourself first. And I'd say, if you're not exercising, that's okay. Just start.
Well, when did exercise come into your life in a big way?
My entire life, like I started in my 20s, which was unfortunately a long time ago. And I taught exercise classes. I sold health and wellness clubs. I was a personal trainer, and I still stay really active with that, just because it makes me exercise, and it's gotten me through the hard times. Like, to me, I had to be resilient and gritty through many times of my life, even like the crazy sports things, falling off a bike, falling down the metaphor, off the skis, um, doing crazy things. I was just insane when I was younger. And there's a bigger meaning that I want to show up now as a high performance executive coach to help lift other people up. And it starts with one thing. So just think about whatever the gap is in your life and just pick one thing. You can't wake up on January 1st and say, okay, now I'm going to just run 10 miles. I'm going to only eat vegetables. I'm no alcohol for me, because that's not going to be sustainable. So small habits stacked on top of each other are sustainable. So you guys in the audience just decide, like, what is your vision? What is your goal? How do you want to lead? How do you want to show up in your life? And find that gap and just start closing it one step at a time.
Well, that's, I think that the incremental approach makes so much sense because, again, it's not like trying to eat an elephant in one bite. And it's something that you need to get good at or more comfortable with before you plow into it, and usually to change something, you need to redirect something that was doing that space or that activity before the new one showed up. And old
Yeah.
is always more comfortable than something brand new where you haven't had much experience. But I believe that's where trust comes into play, is either you trust yourself or maybe in addition to someone else who says, I'll be your workout buddy for a while, or I'll pick you up and we'll go to the gym together, or whatever it is, having that support. When someone's honking the horn and you're not feeling like going to the gym, you tend to go because someone's been depending on you and waiting on you, and vice versa. So you could be that bridge that gets over that hump that might have been a stoppable event or activity, because everybody's traveling on speed bumps. Everybody's wants to go faster, but they got to slow down or things slow them down. But that's a chance to catch your breath and maybe be in alignment with the moment you're in.
Yeah.
If someone's late for a meeting, what were you going to do anyways? Well, start doing that and not blaming emptiness of time on a person when you've got your person with you all the time who can say, well, I'll take over for that time slot. However you reframe, like you say, rephrase, and say, okay, I can live with that meaning. Or if it's for that purpose, okay, that'll replace the one I gave up on, but I'll ride the horse a little longer for that mission. And I think, it's staying in the game, showing up for the game, and not putting pressure on yourself for early results, but learn before you earn. Enjoy the process, enjoy the people, because no matter where you are, you're always going to be with you. So, why not make it comfortable? Okay, Dennis comes back with, okay, let's say this: agree, when you can help others, you're less likely to feel sorry for yourself. So true. Uh, Merjana says, small habits, big deals. Leslie comes back, one goal at a time, one habit at a time, not a whirling dervish running around doing everything. And that's where having a support group helps, because they'll tell you, by the way, I've noticed something, or I became aware of something, I want to share it with you. That you're running too hard, or you got to stop to eat something, or more importantly, I just made you something. When you get a chance, if you're interested, enjoy it. Right? Don't tell people things. Anybody can do that. Participate with them in making it easier to do those things. And I think that will come back to you, because out of guilt or out of gratitude, people will have to return the favor somehow, just to recognize and acknowledge it, and hopefully continue to make it happen. So Lisa's ways to maintain unstoppability, and I don't even know if that's a word, but we can make it a word. What looking forward do you see as where you're well positioned to take advantage of your direction of high performance leadership coaching?
Well, I think it all starts with accountability. Like we have a community. I think it's all stepping into leading yourself first. Like find someone to hold you accountable, find someone to hold your feet in the fire. And I love Leslie's comments here. They're so wonderful. One goal at a time, one habit at a time, not a whirling dervish running around doing everything. Because I do that. I'm going to admit it right now. I'm focused on a lot of things and I just need to calendarize it and be like, you get to do LinkedIn, get to do coaching, get to do the other creating content, creating videos. It's a lot. You know, being an entrepreneur, it's like even if you have people that support you, like I do, we all need accountability. We all need support. I would love to leave you guys with this thought. There's 6 weeks left in the year. What's your one thing that you can write down and create like a little four-word power statement? Like, I am an unstoppable tiger, something like that. You know, show up, have your mantra, have your intention, lead yourself first with self leadership, boost your EQ. What can you accomplish in the last 6 weeks of the year, and don't leave it all to January 1st because that's an excuse.
Well, what is your 4-word statement for the next 6 weeks?
Well, I like being a tiger or a lion. So I would say I am a lion leader. Things
Okay.
come at me like prey, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to be unstoppable. Even though I'm going to be traveling, I'm going to find a way to still show up.
Well, that's important. And I think that, visualization goes so far in helping one stay in the game because they can now assume the attributes of whatever their lion or tiger is, or whatever they characterize as a symbol of who they want to represent and who they want to act as, right? And strength and courage and confidence are great things to share with yourself, to grant yourself, right? You have storehouses full of all kinds of stuff, generosity, gratitude, and who knows what. Is why not go in there and build a recipe for 6 weeks of success by a couple pounds of this, an ounce of that, and mix it all together, and just a new formulation, right? I mean, people get up every day and they design their wardrobe in seconds. They go in a closet, pick this, pick this, pick that. And it's probably what they used to pick last week and the week before, but that's okay if that's what fits you and that's what suits you. And I think fitting and suiting is so essential in having fun. Today I'm going to do something special. And usually the something special, which is hardest to do, is something for me, right? I'm going to have a celebration. I'm going to get a cupcake out. I'm going to have a candle and I'm going to sing a song. I mean, whatever it is, it's like, wow, I can't wait till 3 o'clock when all this other stuff disappears and I'm back to what I wanted to do, which was something important for me. Dennis comes back with, agree, refrain the game and you and others will gain. Leslie comes back with a line calendar with values rather than clients. Yeah, that's very important. Agree, accountability does count. Leslie, believe it, feel it, drive up your vibration for sure. And Dennis is, you're a truthful lion leader, not lying. And, I think it's so cool when people can build support underneath you and give you foundation when you didn't even know it was coming. Most people are always getting minimized, marginalized. You start up with a full steam ahead, full head of steam, and all of a sudden something shows up, something changes, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden you're kind of deflated, when you could be gassing up the whole day, right? Filling up the whole day, getting more nourishment, and whether it's emotional or intellectual or whatever it is, be the master of your own destiny and be the captain of the ship and take honor in that you're actually out there doing stuff, making things happen, and especially in relationship to other people, because then you get a collateral benefit. Even if you didn't hit the mark, if you allowed somebody else to, well, that wouldn't have happened without you. And they say the definition of leadership is getting people to do things they wouldn't or couldn't have done without you, right? And I
Right.
think that's so essential. We're coming up almost on top of hour. These things fly when we've got such a tailwind of a beautiful audience. So coming up on top of hour, what is unstoppable now to you as related to when we started this 55 minutes and 12 seconds ago?
Well, I would just come back to, it's been hard for all of us. That's why I launched my podcast and asked everybody that I interviewed to give me 3 tips on being unstoppable for my audience. So it's all about, so what, now what? We have 6 weeks left in the year. What's that one thing you're going to focus on? And I would just say get up 15 minutes earlier and do the thing.
Okay. And how do you follow that with the next thing?
One step at a time, like Leslie said. Amazing advice. You got to be the boss of your calendar. I like your thoughts on leadership. I don't know who said this, but if you go to lead and you turn around and no one's following you, then what kind of a leader are you? So just decide, be intentional. How do you want to lead? What's one thing that you're going to write in the comments right now and say, I'm just do the thing.
Well, I think that's important because people act differently around group behavior than individual behavior. If you're with 8 friends out having a good time, you're inclined to do things you probably wouldn't have done if you were by yourself. And it does give you the green light to say, well, if he or she could do it, I think I can do it, or why not, right? It's like someone has to go first, but that first person who breaks through now makes it easier for the next person to come through because it's been done and it shows it can be done. The question is, do you have what it takes to reach that level? But then it comes down to responsibility and accountability for you. And, sometimes even if you came close, that gets you in the next game. Sometimes it's the first 3 qualifiers that go on to the finals, right? So, and I always say, run it out. I mean, even if you know you're going to get thrown out at first base, run as hard as you can. What does it cost you, right? What are you saving it for? And you want to show up in front of people that, hey, I legged it out. I finished the race. I didn't win, but I learned what not to do next time, and I'll be a better winner next time. And I think what you want to do is be progressively better. You don't want to get to the top and then never get there again and fall down and stay there. You're better off say, hey, take a loop here and then have some fun here, meet somebody along the way. This is your life. I think it's important. So with that said, we've got another, I think you've been here the other day. Thank you for coming from Nigeria. Dennis, agree leadership and stay afloat. Kelly, super conversation and takeaways this morning. Y'all go be unstoppable. Leslie, sell a family home by year end. Well, good for you. Step 1, signed agreement today. Well, now you're already almost there. Thank you. Agree, run, and get it done and have fun. Well, I think we're all doers, we're all achievers, and more importantly, or as importantly, we're happy. When you can be happy wherever you are and happy wherever you plan on going, that goes a long way as opposed to making up for being unhappy in the future where you're starting at a minus just to get even. And, yesterday is gone. Leave it alone. They say, don't look back unless you want to go back. Throw away your rear view mirror. And the idea is look at where everybody else is going. We always say here, if you can't do it, could we do it? And I think there's a benefit in thinking, well, maybe I'm a little short, but I know there's someone who can fill in or help me out if I'm deserving of it. So with that, it's 59:23. I think we'll say goodbye. Thank the audience. Thank Lisa. Last words, Lisa, that you might have.
I love that comment from Dennis. Run, get it done, and have fun. That sums it all up.
Dennis, You win the door prize today. Stay tuned to find out what it is. And with that said, thank you very much. Come back in 23 hours. We'll have Beverly Glazer with us. And she just suggested a comment. Well, here's a long one from Linda. I can say willing to learn and not give up when doctor did, seeing body changes. And when was trying to take, okay, thank God, bring me a nutrition to help my health conditions and with massage and reflexology finally. But my steps taken, walked and wasn't needed, blah, blah, blah. And still walking, learning, sharing, and journeying. Thank you so much, Linda. It's great to have testimonials and real life situations. Mirjana says, thank you. Thank you to you. And I hope you're having a wonderful day out in Serbia. Take care. We'll talk again in 23 hours, hopefully. Thank you again, Lisa. And with that, bye for now.